Stop me if this sounds familiar. You've established a solid sleep routine for your child, only to have it go completely off the rails around their first birthday. All of a sudden they can't sleep through the night, or they have a hard time getting back to sleep, or they're just generally fussier during the daytime. This is something called the 12-month sleep regression, and though it's probably frustrating, it's also very common.
Every kid is different, but at some point around the 1-year mark, for some children, there's a bit of a regression where their amazing sleep schedule and all the things that you work so hard to create seems to go sideways.
So let's talk about what this is, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Well, first know that this is normal, and plenty of children go through this. Generally speaking, around the 12-month mark, kids need a little less sleep. Where your infant needed around 12 to 15 hours of sleep, they're transitioning to a phase of needing about 11 to 14 hours. So the first thing to acknowledge is that your child might be sleeping less because they just need less sleep overall. But along with this, your child is also going through a whole host of social, emotional, and overall developmental changes.
They're learning at a very rapid rate. Things that may not have been of particular interest to them are suddenly very interesting to them. So it's a very dynamic time.
Because of the multitude of changes, it's really hard to pin sleep regression on any one thing. More often, it's a number of tiny things that begin to add up, such as they get bigger and stronger, their activity levels begin to increase, and that can lead to new levels of overstimulation. They may also be experiencing separation anxiety in a new and complex way. This is also about the time that many children start teething, so now we have an additional layer of physical discomfort that comes with all the other transitions. And though it's not common at this age, some children may start having nightmares. So really, there's a lot happening in your 1-year-old's little body. How your child responds to this sleep regression is likely going to be different from other kids, but there are a few common symptoms. First, you may notice your child waking up more at night and then having a more difficult time settling or getting back to sleep. Secondly, they may also fight their bedtimes, which means they may cry or experience a bit more irritability as bedtime approaches. And finally, because of their disrupted sleep pattern, they may be taking longer naps during the day. So where they may have previously napped twice for 90 minutes during the day, they may now be clustering their naps into a single 2 to 3 hour nap. It's important to note that not all 1-year-olds will experience a sleep regression. Sleep development in children is highly variable, so many children's sleep patterns don't follow the same timeline. In most cases, the symptoms of a 12-month sleep regression don't last longer than a few weeks, so don't be too concerned. However, every child's situation is different, so how long a sleep regression lasts can depend on several factors, including the bedroom environment and their overall development.
The second thing I would think of is environment. And I would think about that more now just because we have so much more interesting technology when it comes to how are you lighting your home or specifically your child's bedroom.
So what can you do about these sleep regressions? Children thrive on routine, and when everything else in their world feels big, sticking to a structure can be crucial.
I think structure makes a big difference, meaning that you had a plan and you got punched in the face a little bit. So are you abandoning the plan or do you double down on the plan? And I think that's where you want to be kind and warm, but regimented.
Next, if they don't already sleep with a stuffed animal or toy, consider making an exception. Just make sure it's not a choking hazard. And then, tucker them out during the day. Give them plenty of daytime activity, especially outside, as that will help develop a healthy circadian rhythm. Now, it seems a bit counterintuitive, but how well a child sleeps is really determined by what happens during the day.
The parent that's going to have the most success is the one that's anticipating this and sort of building in resiliencies for when my child starts to drop that second nap, when my child starts to fuss in the middle of the night. What are we going to do versus panicking that we've done something wrong?
As a 1-year-old begins to have a stronger sense of themselves and their world around them, that also means they're developing a stronger sense of when their caregivers are absent, which is called separation anxiety. So we recommend a few things to reduce the depth of your child's anxiety. First, if you go into the room to settle your child, keep the environment as close to sleep-like as possible.
I try to make myself as boring as possible so that there wasn't some reward for it. If I fuss, dad comes in and we play race cars. It's sort of dad comes in, but he kind of looks, zombie-like or whatever. Like, I don't know how great this is. I might as well just stay in my bed. So, keeping your distance and then also kind of having the same sort of interaction pattern every time.
Then, make a plan to delay entering their room ever so slightly. Maybe the first couple of nights, you enter their room immediately to settle them. But then the next few nights, push it back and wait a minute or two before entering. This will offer your child a chance to practice self-soothing, which is an important tool for children and over time could lessen the impact of separation anxiety. Next, make sure that you use the same goodbye ritual. This can be a warm smile, a hug, a small kiss, or some other sign of affection that reminds them that they're loved. And most importantly, a sign that you will return. Practice some periods of separation during the day. Leave them with a grandparent or someone else that you trust. The more your child sees you leaving, even briefly, and then returning, the more it can really help reduce the anxiety. One of the other underlying issues that might contribute to your child's sleep regression is teething. If your child is a drooly mess because teeth are coming in, there are a few things you can do. First, try a teething ring. These can be soft and chewy, or you can find some that you can freeze, and that cooling sensation can be really nice for kids. You can also try massaging their gums with a cool wet washcloth. And if their sleep is really being disrupted by teething, talk to your child's pediatrician to see if a small dose of something like Tylenol could be helpful. If sleep is an issue and you see it begin to affect a child's growth, weight gain, their breathing, and especially their breathing during sleep, or any other major changes to things like eating or bowel movements, then for sure reach out to your doctor and really trust your instincts and err on the side of caution.
I think that looking at the child's behavior during the day and seeing, are these things reflected in their disposition during the day? Are they eating well? Are they hitting their growth milestones? All those things become extremely important. Rule number one is a parent should always trust their instinct. If they think that there's something abnormal about the sleep that's going on, it's never a problem to talk to a sleep specialist. I've never finished a consultation with a parent and been like, why in the world did they come? Usually it's the opposite, like, where were they 6 months ago when we really could have made this a lot easier?
Finally, because your child's sleep is disrupted during this time, your sleep is probably fragmented too. But it's important to remember that a rested parent is a more present, more forgiving, and a more patient parent. So even though you might not be getting a solid 7 to 9 hours every night, try to get sleep when you can.
And I tell parents that all the time. I call it guerrilla sleep, like a guerrilla warrior, meaning that they use unorthodox tactics to achieve some sort of military goal, like just get it when you can, help each other out.
In most cases, the symptoms of a 12-month sleep regression don't last longer than a few weeks, so don't be too concerned. Sleep regressions can be rough, especially after it feels like you've finally conquered that mountain of sleep, but just know that it's temporary and common. And hey, if you're feeling a little sleep deprived and weary, do as your child and take a nap. Make sure to check out our video on how to get the most out of your midday naps. Thanks for watching, everyone. Sleep well.